Hi, we're Melina and Maya.
And our topic is Chapter 5, Learning.
One of the prominent figures behind the experimentation of classical and operant conditioning is Edward Thorndike, who put forward the law of effect. The law of effect states that any behavior followed by unpleasant consequence is likely to be repeated, and those who are followed by unpleasant consequences are likely to stop.
Also, another figure behind the experiment with classical and operant conditioning was Ivan Pavlov, and his unconditional response was presenting the dog with a bowl of food, and his neutral stimulus was the bell, and the unconditioned stimulus was food. First, Pavlov presented a dog with the bowl of food to measure its saliva secretions. Then, he rang the bell and gave the food at the same time to the dog. And as he repeated this procedure, he tried the bell on its own, and the bell on its own caused an increase in saliva. So the dog learned an association between the bell and the food, and a new behavior had become of the dog. And this response became known as a conditional response.
Operant conditioning is a process in which an animal or human learns by gaining presence or by paying the consequences. Classical conditioning is a procedure involving the presenting of an existing behavior by a sign or gesture.
A reinforcement is used to increase behavior, and a punishment is used to decrease behavior, and that to make sure that it's not repeated. A positive reinforcement increases the behavior by offering a reward after doing what is expected. A negative reinforcement increases the action or behavior not to be done as a punishment.
There were many psychologists who contributed to the field of learning, for example, John Watson. His most famous experiment was Little Albert, where he sought to condition a small child to fear a white rat. And he accomplished this by pairing a white rat with the loud, frightening noise. And by this, the child was also afraid of other small, furry, white things.
B.F. Skinner created a project called Project Pigeon, and in this project, he placed a pigeon on a missile and trained it to peck at the target so that then the missile would go to the intended target. And this project was a considerable success for Skinner. But this project was eventually canceled and led to some interesting findings, and Skinner was able to teach the pigeons how to play ping pong. Skinner realized that punishment played an important role in the operant conditioning process. Punishment decreased and weakened the behavior it followed. Positive punishment presented an unfavorable outcome such as spanking or scolding, and negative punishment involved removing a favorable outcome such as taking away a toy or getting grounded. Skinner created his own reinforcement called the Skinner box, and it was a chamber contained with a bar or key that an animal can press in order to receive food or water. Skinner invented a cumulative recorder that recorded responses as a sloped line. The slope of the line indicated the rate of response. Skinner was able to see that the response depended on what happened after the animal pressed the bar. The higher response followed rewards, and the lower response followed the lack of rewards. This allowed Skinner to see the influence of the rate of response. Using this device, Skinner found out that behaviors were dependent upon what happens after the response. This was known as operant behavior.
As we mentioned before, Edward Thorndike also distributed his law of effect, which states that any behavior that is followed by pleasant consequences is likely to be repeated, and those followed by an unpleasant consequence will stop.
Bandura did an experiment on social behavior by observation and imitation. He tested 36 boys and 36 girls at the Stanford University Nursery School from ages 3 to 6. In this experiment, the children had to observe these models that were female and male. And the boys were more likely to follow the male model, and the girls were more likely to follow the female model. In one group, one group of children had an aggressive model that would beat the Bobo doll with a hammer or kick it or hit it or throw it and say stuff, and the boys would follow as the model did. And the next group, the boys saw a model that was kind of not really hitting it, but kind of hitting it, like just like tapping it, and then that's what the boy model did. And then the third group, the model didn't do anything violent, and the boy didn't do anything violent. And as for the girls, the girl model, she was violent. The girls were a little bit more violent. In the second, the girls weren't as violent, and in the third, the girls weren't violent at all. And as the outcome, the boys were more physically aggressive, and the girls were more verbally aggressive. So the 12 boys and the 12 girls exposed to the non-aggressive model were not really as aggressive as the boys and girls that were imitating a model that was very aggressive. And that is the experiment of the Albert Bandura Bobo doll. Woo! Okay, go.
Hi, I'm Melina.
I'm Maya.
And our topic is Chapter 5, Learning. Well, I did not finish.
Chapter 5. Everybody, Chapter 5. Oh, that was a good one. Okay.
Hi, I'm Melina.
I'm Maya. I sound like I was constipated. Excuse me. Okay. Damn it! Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Another prominent figure behind the experiment. Okay. B.F. Skinner made a project called Project Penguin. Oh.
Is it not Project Penguin?
It's Project Pigeon. Ah! B.F. Skinner made an experiment called Project Penguin.
It's pigeon.
B.F. Skinner created a project called Project Penguin.